Trade recap. Today is Friday, September 5th. We had news at 8:30 this morning. Let me show you the news. We had average hourly earnings, non-farm employment change, and unemployment rate, which we saw a steady growth. And this was bullish. But what I'm starting to know what I'm starting to see in the month of September is allegedly one of the most volatile months of the year, because all we've really seen in the past is consolidation downtrends during September of previous years. Let me see if here. But I mean, during September, it is a downtrend. Towards the end, you see a rise. That was last year's September. Let's go to oh, no, I can't. Okay. Maybe on the 4-hourly. All right. Yeah. Downtrend. So knowing this, keeping this in mind, I will likely be even more decisive this coming month. And let me show you today as that will. So at 8:30, we saw, as it was a steady, what they said it was, we're moving at a moderate, steady point, some shit. Basically, it was bullish. And then we were continuing higher. From yesterday, we had this, we did push all-time highs, took out these recent highs. And that was during PM session. For price then into today, rallies. And then marking out our 9:30 15-minute candle, marking the high and the low of that candle, and waiting for price to break structure out of current trend, and then retrace back into orb, and then see it exit, as if we see also an accumulation of that trend in volume. We know that price will continue in this direction, hopefully continue in this direction, and then we would target this midpoint as our stop loss. It's very similar to the liquidity sweep, break of structure, fair value gap, wait for a 5-minute candle closure, and then enter. Very similar. It just looks different. It's a similar concept, is what I'm trying to say. So what we saw today was price just fall. And I couldn't tell you specifically what it is yet. I don't really know. But we just saw price fall. There wasn't really a move outside of orb and then retrace back in. It was kind of continuation of trend. So we just slid down. A volatile downtrend. That is what we would call this today. But no trades. Let's go to the perfect trader. $8.30 bullish news. Price was at all-time highs and broke structure. Downside without retracement. No trades. Orb 5-minute retest, enter, candle closure. No trades. Historically, it's one of the worst. It's one of the, how can I put this? Least optimal times in the market, as it consists of volatile downtrend for SP 500. What was it? -%? -1%? I'll show you. SP 500 also averages a 1.1% drop in September, finishing higher half of the time. Move. Okay, so I want to show you guys what happened yesterday so I can better interpret to you, to better interpret to myself. So be my sounding board. The orb trader. Put in the image. Yesterday was interesting. So what I've also been looking at to better understand price action, instead of thinking about price action entirely in terms of technical analysis, I'm trying to look at it in terms of technical analysis All right, I would say behavioral analysis. Behavioral economic analysis in confluence with technical analysis. So, in other words, I am trying to understand how people are feeling about the market as well, because this gives me a better indication of where are we going in the long run. So I've been looking at the fear and greed index. Earlier it was at greed, now we're at neutral, so it makes sense. Price is falling. But this is interesting because, as you can see here, when I really started trading, it was May into July. That was when I was in the markets, and we've been pushing all-time highs, relatively all-time highs since. So I haven't really seen much of this bearish downtrend consolidation. But that being said, I'm just going to be even more on edge. This would be for the perfect trader. He wouldn't have taken that. Would not have taken the first position. Okay, so board. Got it. Put this one. What the fuck is that? Yeah, so about yesterday's trade, let me show you. So this was September 4th. Now, what was going on? We were in consolidation. We were in an uptrend on the higher time frame in consolidation. Price then takes out all recent highs and then drops. We broke structure to the downside, and then we saw price continue to the downside. On the higher time frame, on the daily time frame, we were, I think, at 0.3%, which is positive. We were positive 0.3%. That was my mistake, because so what I saw here was we broke structure to the downside, took out all recent draws on liquidity, but we came back up. See, we moved out of org, and then we see price makes a green doji candle. So we came all the way up here, filled this fair value gap, and came out. I entered because on the 1 minute time frame we had consecutive candle closure. Now on the 5 minute time frame, if I can show you, no. What I also had seen, not only on the 1 minute time frame, but on the 5 minute time frame here, is we had filled the gap on NQ, but it was a sledgehammer candle, a bearish sledgehammer candle. And I guess this would be like a or not a doji, but more of like a, what's it called, like a dragonfly, I think. But we didn't exit bearish, so this candle is green, not red. If I would have waited for the 5 minute candle closure, this would have been green. I wouldn't have actually placed the trade that I did place. But with that being said, price came out, took out these recent draws at the downside, rallied back up, it came back up. So we made an uptrend to back up. We broke structure to the upside, taking out recent draws, and continued higher. But we retraced back into orb, and then I entered on a candle closure out. I re-entered. I then targeted recent draws on liquidity. I tried to target this high, but that was during PM session, and the trade ended at 4:20, and I got pushed out of the position. But price did end up hitting all-time highs, and that's where we were at today, where then we hit all-time highs, went a little bit higher, and then fell. So with that being said, I'm going to journal my trade. Today I work at 5 p.m. I'm feeling confident. I would have been ready to take the position if necessary, but today wasn't the day. So I plan on back testing more, but I might go to the grocery store